Welcome back to Corey on the mic. I am delighted to have another interview here with me today. I'm here with the lead singer of a band that has a huge European following. They are going to re-release their first album in May of this year, and they are also going on a tour around the UK and Europe. I'm delighted to announce the lead singer of Snakecore, Mark. Mark, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I am very well. We are all excited for your new music and your re-release. Let's get straight into it and talk about the new album first. What makes it different from all of your others, and what's the process been like of putting it together?
Well, what makes it exclusively different is that it's a live album. It was recorded at live concerts last almost a year ago now in Brighton, in Manchester, and London. And it's taken this time to sort of remix it and get the graphics done and everything else. And this album will only be sold available at gigs that we're doing in this year. So it won't be sold online or available online. So that makes it very different. Um, but the other album is our first ever album, recorded in 1984. And it will include everything was on the first album, and all the B-sides are on the singles that came from it. And it's being re-released by an American label and will be available worldwide through their channels. And that's at the same time. So there's two albums coming out at the same time, both available on CD and download.
That's really interesting about your new one and the fact that it's only available at gigs. That kind of means that people have to come and watch you in order to get it. So it's a good incentive to come and get the new album. With
Yeah,
with the second one being a really re-release of your very first work,
yeah.
do you find that there's any big differences between the songs and the meaning of the songs or the lyrics, or are your albums symbolic of where you're at in life when you write them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I listened to the first album because it was being re-released, and they remixed it all with a very good producer, and I remastered it. I mean, and so I listened to those songs that I haven't listened to for a long, long time because we've been playing them live, but we've never, I've listened to the original recordings for a long, long time, and they're so different now. Live, obviously, there's different problems you have live to recording. Um, there's no overdubs. There's no double tracking. There's no big reverbs on the drums. All those sort of things. So they sound very different, but they both sound great to me because of that difference. And yeah.
And who writes most of the songs in your band? Are you the writer as well as the singer? Do you write collaboratively? Who's the person coming up with the
Yeah, it's
lyrics?
collaboratively. Yeah, it was mainly the guitarist in the first band, Tristan and myself, were the main songwriters. I write the lyrics and the sort of top line melody, and he usually came up with not always, but usually came up with sort of sections of music that I could sort of sing over, and then we sort of arranged it all, mainly in the studio. Then, yeah.
You were saying about the new album and how it's only available at gigs.
Mm.
Um, what's one song on the new album that you would specifically encourage people to listen to? What's a song that means a lot to you?
Well, the one that came over to me best is a song called "Animals All," which was on the first album. So there's a link there because some of these songs, of course, we play live and not just on the reissue album. We had a second album, "Smother Earth," third album, "More Than the Ocean," fourth album, "Third Cup." So we've done EPs. So there's a lot more product than just the one album back then. But that particular song's on both albums, and be yeah, I think that one really cuts through, particularly live. Yeah, I like the lyrics. They're my best lyrics, I think.
Can
So,
you give us a bit of an idea about what the song is about and what the lyrics are?
well, it's about humanity, really, and how basic we all are. All animals, creatures of habit, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Is it quite humbling to the human race? It's kind of showing that we're all equal and that,
Yeah, there is that to it, but it just shows how ruthless we can be sometimes and unfeeling. Yeah, it's quite dark. This song. It's not a single, it's an album track. So
So you said that the reissue is under a US label. Considering that
mm.
you're a British band, how did that come about? Was that something that you specifically wanted, or did the label contact you? As someone who doesn't know as much about that side of the industry, talk me through about how that came about working with a US label.
um, they just approached us,
Simple.
um, and they licensed it through the label that we're on. So um, it's kind of a little known fact, but artists don't have all that much sort of ability to stop these things happen, because if your label wants to license it, they will do it whether the band wants it or not. But in this case, we did, and they're a good label. They deal with a lot of sort of our iconic sort of indie music. So they're a good label, and they've been really good to work with. And they've collaborated with us, and I've sent them old photographs and archive material. I've done an interview with them, and so has Tristan, the other songwriter on the album. And it's going to be a really nice product. Um, because of all the archive things that are with it, pretty exclusive stuff that's never been seen before. So yeah,
And if
yeah.
I'm correct, you're from a Welsh background, is that right?
Well, I grew up there, yeah, but I've spent most of my life in and around London.
Because Wales is quite big on music and culture, and I was going to ask you if you incorporated, like, had any Welsh influences or incorporated anything of that into your music or not.
I think at the time in Wales, I was sort of didn't even mention it very much. It was kind of a thing that there was no real bands from Wales in the 80s. That came later with sort of Manics and Stereophonics and Catatonia. They were some 90s bands. So, there wasn't anything to sort of feed off, really. Um, it was kind of a bit of a wilderness as far as rock music is
Yeah.
concerned. But at that time, and that has changed now. I mean, it's become, a sort of for contemporary music. It was anyway. I mean, historically you know, there was artists that like Tom Jones and things, but they were for us. They were, a bit old fashioned to sort of Smiths and Cure and these sort of influences at the time, rather than the sort of blues based music that sort of was predominant. And but I think that was for most of the post punk bands. I mean, even punk was very blues based. So moving away into sort of more subtle musical structures and using arpeggios, and we had a manifesto that we didn't ever play chords. So this sort of thing, yeah.
And the formation of the band and the lineup of the band has changed quite a lot over time, right? Well, before we get to that, actually, let's go back to the start because it's quite an interesting story as to how you joined the band, right? Because wasn't the band kind of half formed already, if what I
But
was
there was
reading
a
was correct?
I auditioned for a band that was established. They'd done two albums, and they'd done a big John Peel session, and they were getting some sort of recognition. And Sad Lovers and Giants, and I auditioned for them initially. But after I auditioned, there was change of personnel. But the songwriter, the guitarist, was from the band, wanted to really start a new venture because the sound had changed a lot with kind of me joining, and then there was a new drummer that started and a new bass player. So it was really, a different band. So yeah, we had a few working titles, did some recordings, did some demos, got the record deal. Then the Snake Core was born. Really, yeah.
That actually answered my next question perfectly, which was going to be about the lineup changes and about how that changed the dynamic and the style. But it seems like you've just answered that perfectly, to
Yeah,
be
well,
honest.
we had some downtime in the sort of late 90s, really early noughties because family commitments, other things, and also the emergence of the internet. I mean, during the 90s, brought us back into music because those disparate amount of fans all over the world became a community, which would never have happened without that sort of worldwide web, if you like. Um, and then, of course, what's happened to the Snake Corps? The Snake Corps are going to do some gigs, and then promoters said, "Oh, do you want to come back and do things? Do you want to record things?" So yeah, it would never happen without social media, to be honest.
And with
Mm.
this new tour and new album and new reissue, is it the original lineup back together or
Yeah, they are original members, yeah, but not the original. But even when we were back in the day, I think there was a lineup change between every album. So the keyboard players joined and bass players joined, and yeah, so it was. But yeah, but the core of the band sort of is together. Was together at that time. Mm.
let's talk a little bit about the tour and talk about through your tour dates, what kind of venues, do you prefer bigger venues, smaller venues? Talk me through a little bit about that.
Well, we don't really do tours. We do sort of like special editions of ourselves over a weekend or a few days. And in Europe, we do sort of weekend trips, do 3 gigs, say Madrid, Valencia, Barcelona. In the UK, we're playing with Pink Turns Blue, the German band that we know. So that's Bristol, London, Brighton. Um, we could go to Italy, do Bologna and in Milan, or it works like that. So we don't do 30-date tours like the old sort of bands would do. Long tours. We do short and sweet.
Sometimes that's the best way to do it, though. Break it up into small weekends, don't just do it all over. Have little bits here and there.
Yeah, well, I'm not in my 20s anymore, so I can't imagine doing a 30-day tour somewhere. Um, yeah.
Have you noticed your fan base and audience change over time, shift in any way in age, or do you have quite a loyal fan base that are similar age to yourself? Talk me through a little bit about who your fan base
Yeah,
are.
there is the loyal fan base. I think that that around the sort of late 50s, early 60s, to be honest. But they are it's a surprisingly a younger audience that sort of just discover this kind of music, and yeah, there are sometimes you can see quite a few much younger faces in the audience.
What's one of the biggest challenges that you've had to face as a band?
Ooh, well, the biggest challenge was when the record company went into liquidation back in the mid. No, it was really mid 90s, somewhere around there. And so we were left without a label. The label got sort of swallowed up by another label, which weren't really, by their very nature, they weren't interested in doing anything new. They just wanted to keep the archive, if you want to, and use that. Um, so we would have had to find a new label, and it was at a time when we were all, needed to. Well, basically, we weren't earning enough money to carry on going, and we had to get proper jobs. So that was challenging. So we did have to sort of have a bit of a moratorium on the whole thing. Yeah.
And what kind of time frame was that? When in time was this?
It was around sort of 95, something like that, about 10 years in. Yeah.
And how did you get yourselves? So you just had to work and do other jobs, and you just eventually kind of found yourselves back on your feet again, or how did you kind of get back into it after all this?
Well, as I said, it all came through, sort of the internet and people getting in touch through, the social media, just a build up of, why didn't you play again? Why can't you do, why aren't you recording again? Sort of asked to do it. Yeah.
The,
So we
f-
obliged.
the fan base were reaching out for
Well,
you.
sorry, when I started in bands, I thought by the time I'm 25, I'm going to be too old, and you know, that was, by the time I'm 30, I'm going to have to give up because there was no one else, no other rock musicians that were over 30 that were had any credibility. Now you have bands playing, 80s, 90s bands playing to big audiences at Glastonbury, and they're in their 60s. That didn't exist when back then. Rock music was like something you did when you were very young. It wasn't an old man's thing. Yeah. So you never thought that you'd still be doing this for 30, 40 years later.
What's one piece of advice that you would give to anyone wanting to get into music? And what's one piece of advice you would give to a band that are young and kind of already established and kind of breaking through?
Just stick at it. Just keep on going. You're going to have bad times, and just keep on going. That's just the one piece of advice. Play gigs. Just play gigs and enjoy them and get better all the time. You will get better all the time. Just play gigs and don't even mind where they are. Don't worry about small venues, what size they are. If no one's turning up, just carry on going and believe in the project you've got. I don't think it matters what size. If there's 5 people there, or 500, or 5,000, it, it doesn't really matter to me, actually. I just go into a zone. As soon as I see some people to perform to, that's just a show off. That's it, isn't it? That's why you did it in the first place, I suppose.
The second you see someone, you just have to perform right to them. That's what you got to do.
Actually, I didn't start off like that. I was very nervous and very shy, and it took me a long time to get to enjoy actually performing in front of people. I preferred the sort of writing and I was a bit of a bedroom songwriter, and that sort of thing was enough for me. But when I got into it, I sort of I think I just found another person within inside, because I do just turn into another person as soon as I step on the stage.
Mm.
And it's just I wouldn't say it was an act because that sounds a bit flippant, but you have to turn into someone.
It's a bit of a persona, really. It's still
Yeah,
you, but you've got
mm,
to, yeah. No, that's very fair. That's very
yeah.
fair. How long did it take for that kind of persona to develop? How long did it take for
A
you to
few, a
get?
few years, a few years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes it would happen, and that was great, and sometimes it just wouldn't. You'd just play the first song and you think this is not happening, and it wouldn't matter if there was a big audience or somewhat. You just didn't feel it. But
yeah.
after a while, you knew how to trigger something that would get you into the zone. Yeah.
And obviously, the new album will only be available at gigs. So everyone, you need to come to Snake Horse performances if you want to get that new album. But for the re-release and the rest of your work and everything, where
Yeah.
can people find you? Do you have a website that you sell on? Tell me where your
Well,
music is
it'll
for people to
be.
find.
I mean, the re-release will be through the label, so it'll be advertised, and the live album. And the live album, initially, we want to just sell it through gigs, really, to fans that turn up to the gigs. It'd be nice. We're playing with Pink Turns Blue, the German indie band. May 1st to 3rd. Bank holiday.
Well, there we go. If people aren't working, May 1st to 3rd is bank holiday. Get yourself down to Snake Horse performances. Brighton's a beautiful place to play. I've been to various venues there. It's been really cool. So, yeah, I'm sure that it'll be amazing. And if anyone watching this would like to go and watch Snake Horse, please, please do so because they are fabulous. Mark, thank you so much for your time.
Hey, no problem, Corey. Thanks for doing this. Yeah.
Thank you.